How do you want your fence to look? I want it flat. No, 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 I don't want it flat like that. I want it flat like this. There could be a lot of misconception about how you want your fence. Do you want your fence to follow the contour of the ground? Do you want your fence to be 100% truly level? Or do you want your fence to be stair-stepped? We're gonna show 3 different ways that you can install your fence. Either flat, or stepped, or sloped. Okay, so now you're probably gonna notice our posts are extremely high. We should have kept driving them, but this isn't permanent, and these posts are extremely terrible to get out of the ground. And that's why we left them high. We want to try to salvage the posts if we can. We don't really want to throw them away. If we went all the way down, I'd probably have to go get a full-size skid steer to get these out of the ground. It's not a traditional install. This is all for demonstration purposes only. The reason we have 2 different fence styles here is only so that way we can show this really well.
Even though we're using different materials, the overall principles are the same.
So now over here on the cedar fence, these are pre-built cedar fence panels. Ignore anything janky we had to do. This is just for the purposes of illustrating the fence flow. And one of the big things here about stair stepping is this right here. So if you come off with a level panel, you start to have a gap on your downhill side of your panel, so you can see daylight. So ultimately, if we didn't want any daylight here, what would we have to do? Well, I guess you could go ahead and angle cut your panel, but we're gonna pretend like this is vinyl and you can't do that. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to dig this side in, dig a trench for your panel to sit in, perfectly level, and then that way you'd have no gap. Because ultimately what you have is you have the difference right here. Your difference in height right here is your difference in ground right down here. And then as we continue to come, the slope is getting a little bit steeper, and now we're getting a little bit taller. We have a little bit taller of a gap. And there again, we would have to dig this in. This would be a stair-stepped fence where it goes level, it goes down, it goes level. With any grade change, it's just stair-stepped. As we get closer to the bottom of the steeper terrain here, we are now about 4 3/8 inch off the ground. Here we're touching the ground, but you're getting your stair-stepped effect where every section is perfectly level. And this is why you would call it a stair-step. Like I said, the posts are tall. You don't need to be looking at that because this is all just for the stair-step demonstration. If you want to stair-step a vinyl fence, on this post, this traditional line post, our holes are at the same elevation. But if you want to stair-step it, one's going to come in at a normal elevation and the next one's going to come in lower. And it's going to continuously repeating itself. You're going to run your section out, you're going to lower, you're going to run your section out, you're going to go lower. If you want to do a stepped vinyl fence, you're going to need to figure out how much each section is dropping so that way you can order your posts to have that same amount of drop on each side. So now as Triple C is over here installing their fence, they have chosen to go ahead and do our traditional method first. We typically follow the contour of the ground, we take a rough average. As you can see, they took an average. They're just a little bit off the ground, about 2 inches, maybe 1 3/4 inches. They have a nice swell that they're going through right here. Right here, yeah, it's a little high. If we took it down just a little bit further, what would happen is we'd have more of a dip right here. It's more of an aggressive dip. So we brought it up a little bit. And if we didn't really like this, what would have to happen is we would have to bring in some dirt, or the client would have to bring in some dirt to fill in their gap. Ultimately, we're just trying to take a slope and make it look good. Roll through the slope is what we'd call that. Or in this case, we'd roll through the dip. This is what a typical installation for us would normally look like. And as you can see right here, they went down and they had a little bit of an angle change and they're just going back flat again. And they're just rolling through the dip. Maybe right here we're just a little bit high because we would just want a nice gradual roll. We don't want anything to go nice and sharp. We want to just roll right through it. And we have a high point there, we have a high point here, and we have a dip right here. But these two elevations that start and stop are totally different. We usually have a little bit of a gap between the fence and the ground, just a little bit. Industry standard is 2 inches, and that's the allowance for that. And remember right here, the gap underneath the post is only because it's a temporary setup. We're going to install this and we're going to take it right back out. All for demonstration purposes only. All right, so as we go ahead and start rebuilding the vinyl, because our customer wanted it perfectly flat, we're gonna go dead flat, we're gonna go dead level on the whiskey stick, and we're gonna show you what it looks like. And remember, Over here, we started from the ground, and we'll see how high we are off the ground over here. This is typically what you get with a flat fence. I want my fence to be dead flat. And if there was no grading that ever took place and you're just going across an existing ungraded lawn, you could expect to run into these conditions here. To the point where you started touching the ground, but it aggressively got really bad. It's like a fence on stilts. Let's see if it's flat though. Because our customer said, hey, we want a true flat fence. I mean, flat, 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 flat. And sometimes, you know, you have ungraded yards, you don't have perfectly level yards, but they still insist that they want their fence to be 100% flat. Don't worry about any low areas, I'll fill them in. Okay, sounds great. This is some of the things you can consider to run into. If you say, I want a truly flat fence to your fence contractor, you could have a situation like this. That fence is dead flat. It's just we had to go off of the high point because we had a little bit of a swell here. We may come back in contact with the ground just a little bit over there, but I think we're gonna be floating all the way above it, all the way down if we were to continue. And obviously your dog's gonna get out because if we could get underneath this, it's not gonna contain a dog. This is just something you could run into if you tell your fence contractor that you want a flat fence. You should expect to have big gaps everywhere because you want true and flat. You gotta compromise somewhere. And that is a big reason that we typically do what you saw here before and we roll through it. Otherwise, you got to bring in a ton of fill. Flat versus stepped versus sloped. These are three very different fence styles. All of them have their own advantages, all of them have their own disadvantages. So ultimately, if you want a truly flat fence and your lot is not graded perfectly flat and you want a dead level flat fence, this is something that you could expect to see. Those are just different ways that you can deal with elevation changes and installing your fence or asking your fence contractor to install your fence. That thing's gonna pinch you.
It's pretty blow throughable.
So there's a reason that he was able to blow through the section like he did, and that's because this is temporarily put together for, I mean, show purposes, honestly, because right as soon as this video is done, we're taking this right back out. This is strictly for YouTube and display purposes. If it was fully installed correctly like it should have been, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did. I stand with SWI. We are Y Wings Fence Company. We hope you have a good dang day.